We are on the air here online with another police pursuit. This is the second one this evening so far. This is a stolen vehicle being pursued by the CHP and the LAPD. It is now northbound on the 5 freeway. You can see here on our SkyMap 7 technology, you can see exactly how fast he's going. Right now, 80 miles an hour or so, but he's been as high as 120 or so miles an hour in the carpool lane now. It's a blacked out sedan. Can't tell exactly what kind of sedan it is, but it is moving rapidly through traffic. This is reported to be a stolen car, and it started in the North Hollywood area. And it eventually got on the 5 freeway, got on through Hollywood Way, and then is now on the 5 freeway, got on at Buena Vista, and has continued northbound on the 5 freeway now, heading northbound and at 110, 112 miles an hour. We don't know how many occupants there are in the vehicle. We do know it's blacked out, and so it's hard for officers to see inside, us included, even from the air. Look at the speeds here as he winds his way through traffic. But this is a stolen vehicle. An earlier pursuit involved a DUI suspect. That one was, well, a little bit crazy. That one just ended, and then a few minutes after that one ended with a couple of arrests, you had this pursuit that started up involving the LAPD and the CHP. It's passing Van Nuys Boulevard. We're told that the LAPD is in communication with the CHP. They are coordinating their assets. They have, of course, a helicopter overhead. That's the source of that light that you see that is trained directly on this stolen vehicle. And you have CHP officers in pursuit on the freeways. Generally, what happens is if it goes back onto surface streets, they will hand it off to the local police agency that knows the streets well. And if it gets back on the freeway, then, of course, the CHP will resume. But that's what's happening right now. Northbound 5 freeway, still in L.A. County. Again, in the triple digits. He stayed above 100 miles an hour for most of the time that we have been over this pursuit. The latest information is, yeah, northbound 5, it's passing Van Nuys Boulevard and continuing there with no sign of stopping. And this is a stolen vehicle. Not sure if it's related to the other pursuit, but it does appear that this one is some very erratic driving as well. Continuing now on the North 5 freeway in the Sylmar area. Looks like he's on a side road here now, still going 110 miles an hour. I don't think he's on the freeway proper. I think this might be a collector road, perhaps. No, he is getting back on. Looks like it does end up back on the freeway. Continuing northbound, now approaching the 405 freeway. That could be the deal where he's going to try to get on the 405. We're not sure yet, and we'll have to just kind of watch this unfold. You're looking at this with the SkyMap 7 technology, as I am, and trying to navigate and see what's ahead. Looks like he's taking an off-ramp here. And this is Roxford Street off-ramp. That's Roxford, as you can tell, and he's turning left here. Slowing down there. You know the CHP and LAPD are in pursuit. This is the Sylmar area. Now it looks like he's going to try to get back on the 5 and head south now. Is that the on-ramp to the 5 freeway south? It looks like it is. He's gaining speed. You see he's in the 40s and getting into the, and speeding up again. So this vehicle was stolen, we believe, in the North Hollywood area, or at least first reported in the North Hollywood area. It was on San Fernando Road. It was seen on surface streets there going about 80 miles an hour around on San Fernando. There was a passenger in the vehicle at one point. That passenger was let out. And now the vehicle is continuing. It was on the northbound. The video on the scene on your right here is, I believe, where that passenger was let out. That was on Wheatland Avenue. That was in the L.A. area. That was earlier where a passenger was let out of the vehicle. You see right there. Looks like a female, a woman, being let out. You can be sure that officers are or have been questioning her and finding out what this person's motives are, as he does a pretty expert two-point turn. This is the kind of turn that police officers are trained to do. That's the sort of driving that people who are really good at driving know how to do. That's not your typical three-point turn that he did to get out of there. So that, I'm not sure what that says about this individual, but he did make that turn and then sped away. That was in the North Hollywood area about 15, 20 minutes ago, and it's continuing now. The scene on your left, this now full screen, which is the live picture from Air 7 HD using our SkyMap 7 technology. He is now southbound on the Fry Freeway, heading back to the area from whence he came. Heading again southbound on the 5 in the number 1, or actually in the carpool lane, it looks like. The speeds are pretty intense here, and he's a real danger to the people that are on the freeway with him. And what we're seeing here, there have been no accidents yet, and we're hoping there won't be any, but man, there's certainly a great deal of danger associated with this when you look at the speeds here, the fact that he's weaving in and out of traffic, and that he is not obeying the orders of pursuing police officers to stop. If you happen to be on the freeway, of course, and you see something like this heading towards you, the best thing to do is to slow down, move to the side, and let it pass you. Don't try to interfere. Don't try to get in the way of it. Don't try to get a closer look, because you put yourself at risk, you put the pursuing officers at risk, and the suspect, and anybody who might be in the car with that suspect, if that is in fact the case. So what we have here is one individual. We got a pretty good look at him too, kind of a heavy-set guy, wearing, I believe, a dark-colored shirt and an outer shirt, and then like a t-shirt or a tank top underneath. He ran around to let a woman out of the car and then got back in. Again, that's the video you see on your right there. That was from Clybourne to Wheatland Avenue in the I believe it was North Hollywood area. So he stopped there, and you saw him there. He got out, runs around to the side of the vehicle, helps the woman out of the vehicle, gets back in. She walks away, and you see him get back into the car from the passenger side, and then makes a pretty violent but rather expert two-point turn to reverse course and continue on. She's just kind of walking nonchalantly away. That's not going to fool the officers, of course. I'm sure they've got her, and they are talking to her and finding out what her connection is to this individual, whether she is part of this or whether she was perhaps a victim as well. It could be her car. We don't know if this was a carjacking or not. We do know this car is stolen. And as we look live now from Air 7 HD, it is continuing now southbound on the 5 freeway. And this is, again, he's now in the, he's been kind of staying in the number 1 lane for the most part until he prepares to get off, but we don't know whether that's going to happen again. He's kind of made this big loop. He's now heading into the North Hollywood area again. This is approaching Lancashire, and on the southbound I-5. He got on at, I believe it was Buena Vista a little while ago, and so that's what we're seeing now. Is he made a loop way up into on the 5 freeway, and then got off and turned back around, now heading south at a pretty high speed. You see 100, 120 miles an hour. So this is a pretty dangerous situation here. Not sure what caused all of this other than the stolen car report, but it has definitely gone to what I would imagine would be a felony evading at this point, given the level of speed, plus, of course, the original charge of the auto theft. And you're talking a number of felonies involved here. Depending on whether or not that woman was a victim or an accomplice, there could be a kidnapping charge tacked onto this. So this would certainly add to the desperation of this individual, and he's exhibiting it here, going, again, 95 miles an hour southbound in the number 1 lane. Looks like, is that a Volkswagen? It's hard to tell. Trying to look at the emblem on the back of it. It's hard to tell from this angle at night in the dark, but it is capable of pretty significant triple-digit speed. It's a black, okay, what we're seeing is it's a black Mustang, so I completely had that wrong. And Ellen Leyva joining me now as we watch this pursuit, a black Mustang, and we're seeing it now getting off at Hollywood Way, which is about where he got on the freeway, not far from where he got on the first time to head northbound.
And the SkyMap 7 technology is pretty incredible, because we can see in real time. Oh, my microphone.
Your mic's on.
Oh, okay. The producer's telling me the my microphone's on.
Okay. Well, it's on, and hopefully you can hear us online. Maybe we can check. Are you?
Well, I will be back. We're gonna check and see why it's.
Oh, you know what? I think I know why. All right, we've got to switch mics for you. But again, all right. So what do we have here? He's now. Oh, he's stopped. He's gotten out. He has stopped and gotten out. This is at the North Hollywood Way off-ramp. He has gotten out of the vehicle. He's now. It looks like he's taken off on foot, and so the police have stopped in that area. Is he out, or has he just stopped or run onto there? Yeah, they are still looking at the vehicle. They think he's still in there. They are surrounding it with guns drawn. They have cleared the vehicle. Now they're looking for him. They are, at this point, trying to determine where this individual might be. JT Alpa, are you with us?
I am with you, Mark, and this is right at Hollywood Way and the 5 freeway, we believe. And we saw this before. The suspect went underneath the freeway, drove, and then turned around. This time, it looks like he got out, and officers are now looking for him. From what we saw from that earlier tape, I don't know if we've got that or not, the male looked to be an older, heavier-set male with bald head that was wearing a dark-colored sweatshirt. So they have that description. They're looking through the area, trying to contain that area, trying to lock him down in that area in case he did walk out of that perimeter.
Wow. Well, so what's involved at this point? They've got to be setting up a perimeter now to look for this guy. They've got to
see where he kind of goes into that. Oh, this is when he. Oh, this, I'm sorry. This is
earlier
right, video when he let the woman out.
When he let the woman out.
Right.
So now, yeah, you see an active search here. There's a Shell station right there. This is the 5 freeway at Hollywood Way. This is near Burbank, the off-ramp you would take to get to Burbank Airport. You see officers now on foot looking for this guy and hoping that they can get a handle on where he might be. If you are in this area, if you live in this area, lock your doors, close them up, lock your windows, and make sure that nobody is able to get into your home, because this is a very active situation at this point, and they don't know what this person is capable of. They do know he is capable of running from police. And
there's something going on there. They have a man right there. Or that's something in the bushes.
Okay,
it's hard
the
to say.
CHP has got that. They're on the off-ramp there. They're just, at this point, looking to find out where this guy took off. And it was an interesting tactic that he employed, Ellen. He got under the bridge, as JT pointed out, and then was hidden from view of the helicopter for however long, for a few seconds, long enough for him to get out of the vehicle and try to get away on foot.
Which is amazing, though, because it just took seconds. And you were saying, you know, his precision driving, his technique of getting in the the passenger seat to drive that car.
He's got some experience with this sort of activity before. One presumes it's, you know, it's criminal, so who knows how much practice he's had at it. Stolen a lot of cars.
You can see LAPD and CHP looking at those bushes near the off-ramp of the 5 freeway right at Hollywood Way. They're looking through the bushes just off to, I believe, the west side of the freeway, searching that area. You can be assured that LAPD's Air Support Division is using their FLIR, right where the night sun is there, using their FLIR to try to flush that suspect out, using that camera that does not see light, but it sees heat. So if a suspect is bedded down in those bushes, he's kind of moving through those bushes, they're going to be able to see that in complete darkness. So right now they are just scouring that area. But, yeah, he turned around and he let that car go underneath that freeway overpass, obviously very savvy to the helicopters overhead, and walked out. But there's a lot of helicopters overhead. There's a lot of eyes on this when this happened. So there's a good chance that he's very close to this area and bedded down.
Plus, yeah, you did that FLIR, that forward-looking infrared, that can spot the warmth of a body against a cold backdrop. So even if he's not visible to the naked eye, if he's hiding somewhere where his body heat will give him away, that will certainly be given away and will be detected by that FLIR. Now they're looking. This is looks like a little flood control channel. Yeah, right here to the right of the northbound lanes of the freeway, and they're looking in there as well. Did he try to jump down in there and then take off running? This person has been pretty resourceful in terms of trying to evade the police. Look at that. There's a hole there where he, you know, who knows where he could have gone, but there are places where he could have gone. I think if he was in these bushes at this point, they would have found him, because the FLIR, as you point out, JT, would have detected his body heat, would have detected him there. Plus, they've got all those officers with flashlights.
It does take, Mark, and it does take a little bit of time for them to set up that containment. What they want to do is try to contain that area, that he is bedded down in that area, that they keep him in there. And then the officers, the tactical fly officers on board the helicopter will take their time and meticulously go from bush to bush and just search, because there may be an angle. It doesn't see through bushes, but you can see residual heat from that suspect coming out from under a bush or under any type of obstruction. So it takes a little while to scan that, but right now you can see there's a lot of officers on scene that got here very, very quickly. So more than likely he is bedded down somewhere near those bushes in the freeways. We'll see. We don't think he walked out. There were just too many eyes overhead on him.
Hopefully all that police activity and the helicopters going overhead are going to prompt people to keep their doors, be extra vigilant, to keep those doors locked, as you never know if he tries to carjack somebody or in that area, those people that were at the stoplight. So hopefully they will realize to stay shut.
Well,
yeah, that's always good advice. Whenever you see a helicopter overhead in a neighborhood, especially with a night sun on, that very bright spotlight, it's always a good time to lock your doors, close your windows, turn on any lights you may have in the backyard of your home, any bright floodlights, if you can access them from the inside, turn them on. That's going to help officers see in that backyard, and then be prepared for a canine team and a search team to come through that yard later on. So you want to get your pets inside as well.
Right, yeah. You want to just kind of batten down the hatches when you've got one of these things going on, when the police are involved in an active search.
Exactly. What are you zooming in on, JT?
Yeah, it is possible now that what we're hearing is that, and this is just being told to my ear from our executive producer, there may have been a vehicle switch. They may have switched vehicles underneath that bridge. That would speak, I guess, to some of the sophistication that's involved here. This guy that was able to do this this kind of defensive driving, knew to employ the tactics that he did. Perhaps he was in contact with somebody and they switched vehicles, and he is off now, scot-free, essentially. Well, not scot-free. They're still going to be looking for him, but it'll be hard to find him if he's in another vehicle.
It kind of sounds like the stuff that you see in movies, not in real life.
Fast and Furious, that's the kind of thing you would see.
We actually saw that tactic, guys, not used just a few weeks ago in a pursuit that ended not too far from here. I believe it was in the Pacoima area, where that suspect terminated a pursuit underneath the freeway and did the very same thing. So what usually happens in those situations, that we probably will get a lot of witnesses that were underneath that bridge when that happened, get a good idea what car he was in. People will tell you what happened, that he got into a car, maybe a good description, maybe even a plate, so they can narrow down where that car is. If someone that he knew, that he called to pick him up under that freeway off-ramp, did exactly that. Right.
Now, what we're hearing is the police may have begun a pursuit of a second vehicle. That's what Air 7, you notice our camera is moving around right now. That's what we're trying to determine, is where that second vehicle or second pursuit may have gotten started. They may have a line on where that other vehicle might be. And what a wild night in Southern California, Ellen.
And to see the speeds at which he was driving, and now we can see that with the SkyMap technology, 110 miles an hour. He was able to elude many, many officers in different freeways, different side streets, and then letting that woman out, and she nonchalantly walked away. But I think you're right, Mark. She wasn't fooling anybody. I'm sure they got her, and maybe they have some information about the guy.
Right. Okay, now we've got that LAPD helicopter that we're following, and the night sun is back on. That means there's another pursuit, and we think we have found it. We think we may have found it.
That would be pursuit number 3 in as many hours, which is probably a record. I haven't seen that in a long time.
And
so
there's
we will see if they've actually got that, and the pursuit continues, and then we'll bring it to you right here with SkyMap 7.
Yeah, and it looks like this is it. This is a pickup truck.
Pickup truck with something in the back,
with something in the bed, and is that the subject of the pursuit? I'm putting a question mark here because the night sun is trained on it. And he is, operating at a fairly high rate of speed. I want to see if Air 7 could zoom out for a quick second and see if, in fact, there are vehicles pursuing it. Well, we've got the SkyMap technology going. I guess this is it. He's going 100 miles an hour, so that would certainly indicate he's in a big hurry to get away from something. So this could be the second vehicle that has been involved in the car switch here, that was involved in this pursuit, which was the second one of the evening. So if you go by vehicles, it's the third pursuit of the night.
Right.
If you go by suspects, it's the second pursuit.
And certainly
of the
driving
night.
like the same guy, 105 miles an hour there, on the shoulder there.
And he is now on the 134 freeway eastbound, let's see,
Hollywood
where is he
Freeway. No, is that right? Wait.
So he'd be approaching the 101. So 134. He's passing right by us here. He's passing right by Riverside, 134 freeway. Now he's taking an off ramp here, but
so
he's
US 101 north. Is he going?
Yeah, looks like 101 north to the 134, or at the 134 west.
And Mark and Ellen, I'd have to say, if this indeed is that suspect or maybe an unrelated pursuit, we think it may be the same suspect. But, God, what an amazing exchange of information for those officers on the ground to ascertain that information that quickly, get a description out to officers in the area, and actually get eyes on the suspect in that vehicle. And here we go again.
All right. Well, what we're hearing now is, and this is what is believed to be going on, this may be a carjacking. This may be a carjacking. There may be a victim of that carjacking in the vehicle with the suspect. We don't know who's behind the wheel, but we are hearing that the possibility exists now that this was a carjacking, that the original suspect went under the freeway bridge, got a hold of somebody, carjacked them, and now is in that vehicle, in this pickup truck, eluding police. This adds a whole new wrinkle to this, Ellen. Right. This is a whole different situation now, where you've got somebody who is in fear for their life, who's an innocent victim involved in this as well. So we're going to try to lock that down and lock that information down and get it to our viewers. This is ABC7.com, and we are live right now over the second pursuit of the night, as this is now on the northbound 101 freeway in the Studio City area, approaching Coldwater Canyon.
Very tricky because it's a second pursuit, but actually the third car, because this guy, the second car, correct, and there was an earlier pursuit earlier. This was suspect. Apparently the suspect jumped into an F-150 truck under that bridge. And we don't know if there is a victim on board that truck, but if it is, what a scary situation. But now it's a giant truck weighing a lot more than that other car and traveling at fast speeds down this freeway. He was going up to 100 miles an hour earlier on, now 87 miles an hour.
The news on this is more than likely, again, we haven't confirmed this yet, that the information the officers got quickly after this happened on that freeway underpass, that more than likely possibly came from that victim of that carjacking, which would mean hopefully he's not in that truck and that suspect is alone. And we'll find out, giving them information on if the suspect was armed or he just used force or fear to pull that pull that victim out of that truck. So hopefully the suspect is alone in that car, and hopefully we'll learn more if there is, because this would be a carjacking along with a kidnap if that victim is still in that truck.
Yeah, add to the list of felonies, the long list of felonies associated with this single event now, and the list of crimes involved, and it's a kind of a litany of desperation, if you will. It shows what level of criminality this person will go to try to just get away from the police.
Here he is on the 101 northbound near Van Nuys exit and going 92 miles an hour, weaving in and out of traffic. Very dangerous situation. This guy's desperate to get away.
And the traffic, you know, in that part of the city, even at this time of night, gets a little bit thick right around there. The 101, approaching Sepulveda, approaching the 405, it will get a little thick. It's nowhere close to what it would be at, say, 6:30, 6 o'clock at night. But nonetheless, you are seeing some other vehicles there. It makes it a little tricky for this suspect weaving in and out. You see the big FedEx truck there.
Oh, yeah.
And Mark and Ellen, this is an opportunity, just if we have a second, just to talk a little bit about SkyMap 7. What you're seeing on the bottom left corner is that white graphic. That's telling you what highway is on the US 101. And right next to it, next to this flash, that's telling you the nearest cross street. So the technology we have on board to be able to give you what he's on and what the cross street is, along with the speed, extremely helpful in these types of situations.
And it looks like he is going, is he going on the 405 southbound now? Is that?
Not sure, but JT, just a message for you to call the assignment desk, if you would, really quick. And we'll hold on here for a second. Looks like he's getting on the 405 freeway, and if he was northbound on the 101, and then now it looks like I believe he's northbound. Oh no, he's southbound.
Southbound on the 405, headed to the Sepulveda Pass area.
Right.
And that place gets a little congested as well.
Right, so it's a little. These are some of the busiest freeways in Southern California. His speeds right now, you know, not the triple digits that they were, but he is definitely speeding, and this is another stolen vehicle.
And you spoke too soon. Now it's 96.
Right.
You know, you almost stepped there again.
Yeah, he's heading uphill at this point, and pretty soon he'll be heading downhill once he passes the Getty Center, I believe, is when it starts to go downhill, or actually a little before then, going through the Sepulveda Pass. Heading into West Los Angeles. It's a pickup truck now. This began with a pursuit of a stolen vehicle, a Ford Mustang, a black Mustang with blacked out windows. At one point he stopped and let out a female that was in the car with him. We don't know if she was a victim or an accomplice. We still don't know that. That was in North Hollywood. He got on the 5 freeway northbound from Buena Vista, headed northbound, got off right around Hollywood Way and then headed back south on the 5 freeway. And at Hollywood Way is where he got off and went under the freeway overpass and apparently carjacked whoever was driving this truck. The person, what we're hearing now is that there was a report of a carjacking, so we hope that the person who he carjacked was actually out of the vehicle and made that report. And then, so now he got on the 101 and out of the 405 South heading into West Los Angeles. Speeds now in the 70s, approaching 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, now he is near 405 southbound near Skirball Center. And yeah, you're right. He's going to be barreling down that downgrade.
He's going to be downhill right now, pretty much.
And that, look, well, I thought he was getting off the freeway, but not. He's just...
He might be. He's in the right lane.
I think he
Looks like he is getting off.
Okay.
He is getting off. And it would be Mulholland Skirball Center Drive if that's where he's getting off. It looks like that's what's happening. Yeah, Air 7 has to get some fuel, so we may have to break away for just a moment or two. But you see now he's getting on. This is Sepulveda Boulevard. Continuing southbound on Sepulveda, one wonders if he's going to try to get back on the freeway and go northbound, which is one of the things he's been doing. He'd get off the freeway and... yeah, so what we're going to do, Air 7's going to go get some gas, and we're going to break away from this for just a couple of minutes while we get our other helicopter on station. And while we wait to do that, we're seeing the speeds here slowing down somewhat.
He's trying to figure out what to do or where to hide.
Yeah, he's kind of stuck here. Sepulveda, basically, you know, it's pretty much straight. There aren't too many cross streets in this particular part of that stretch of Sepulveda Boulevard. But as he heads down toward West LA and toward UCLA and that area, Westwood, Brentwood, things are going to open up for him quite a bit. A lot of residential areas straight ahead as he continues.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been around there, but still a lot of construction around there, or is that pretty much cleared now?
I think it's pretty much cleared.
I'd stay away from the 405.
A lot of people do. A lot of people do and have been for a while. The construction is pretty much abated there, but the traffic most of the time has not. But he did get off on Sepulveda Boulevard and heading south toward the West Los Angeles area from the valley. There are places where he could pull under the freeway again. There's a tunnel actually even ahead of him, if memory serves, that would allow him to, if he wanted to stop and either get out or try to carjack somebody again, God forbid, he would have an opportunity to do that. So we'll have to see what he does. But you can see now as Air 7 having to go to the airport to get some gas, we're going to have to step away from this pursuit for just a bit, but what a dangerous situation it has been.
Incredible watching this.
The speeds have been very high, at more than 100 miles an hour. Somebody's been carjacked, and it has really been just a very dicey situation to watch.
It'll be very interesting to see if they get information from that woman. From her body language, it did look like she wasn't a victim. You know, she kind of looked like she was nonchalantly trying to walk away and be sly, but who knows? I mean, he could have told her, walk slowly, go away, who knows? But
yeah,
from her body language, it looked like she might have been with him or something.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's hard to tell, and I'm sure she's answering and has been answering questions for the police and to try to find out more about who they're dealing with here, because this is somebody who has both, you know, it's a kind of a frightening combination of desperation and a modicum of skill.
Exactly.
To be able to drive like this, to try to evade like this, and desperate enough to take these sorts of maneuvers, putting all these people at risk. It hasn't hit anything.
Yeah, some pretty incredible driving maneuvers we've witnessed tonight. And this SkyMac 7 is pretty neat technology. I'm liking this.
Yeah, it certainly is helpful as we cover pursuits in terms of it lets you know what's ahead, it lets you know what road they're on, lets you know how fast they're going, and what's in the vicinity. And it's all very, very helpful in terms of our being able to cover these things. And now, of course, Air 7 heading back to, I believe they're heading to Burbank Airport to, or maybe Van Nuys, I'm not sure, to go, yeah, Van Nuys Airport dead ahead there. So they're going to go there, get some fuel, and get back up over this pursuit. One wonders whether it will still be going on. For the my wish for the safety of everybody involved is that it'll be over peacefully by then.
Hopefully the guy was just going to go get gas in the truck.
Yeah.
Any luck.
If it's not, we will certainly rejoin it and get back to it, because our helicopter not only has this sort of mapping technology, it's really fast too, so it will be able to get back to the scene of this pursuit. So I'll just real quickly ask the desk: are we sticking with this right now, or what are we doing? We'll be back in just a bit with more of this if we can resume on this pursuit. Thanks for watching. Stolen car. He was driving a stolen car, being pursued by police, stopped under a freeway overpass, carjacked somebody, and took this pickup truck.
And it's been quite a pursuit, because we left you just a few minutes ago. He was southbound on the 405. He has since traversed about 3 different freeways. Now he's southbound on the 5 freeway. So he went back up the 405 to the 118, and now he's southbound on the 5. And Lord knows where he is now. He's on, it looks like Osborne Street.
At Osborne Street. This is, I don't know if you remember where, L.A. history. This is near where Rodney King, where that incident happened, strangely enough. And now it's in the Pacoima area. Now he's getting... looks like he's getting back on the freeway from Osborne and getting on the 5 south. So he's just kind of been making these big loops on the freeway. And
we know he's still been driving very high speeds if he made it that far in just a few minutes. And there we see him again going 98 miles an hour on this freeway near the 170, I-5 south near the 170.
Yeah, this would be, it started kind of in the Lakeview Terrace area where we picked it up. And now, we don't know if he's getting on an off-ramp here or what, but it's the I-5 south to the 170. He could take the 170 here. Looks like he might be, yes, getting on the Hollywood Freeway. The 170 southbound. Yep, looks like it. That's where he's heading now. So this will take him into basically the Hollywood area, North Hollywood, kind of the edge of Studio City. If he continues in this direction, which he certainly is at a high rate of speed. Look at the speeds here, 108 miles an hour in that pickup truck. And we are pretty sure that there's no victim in the vehicle with him. And that is a helpful thing to know, but he's still a danger to everyone around him.
He seems to be circling back toward the Hollywood area, because he's already been in this area, like Mark said, was making these big circles. But he was in the Van Nuys area before, and then near Hollywood, and seems to be back in his old area here.
Yeah, he went by kind of near the Burbank, the off-ramp you would take for Burbank Airport from the 5 freeway. That's Hollywood Way. And that's where he made that switch. He was in a black Mustang with blacked out windows. That was a stolen car. That was the initial kind of cause of the pursuit. And he somehow got under that on-ramp, or that freeway underpass, carjacked whoever was driving this pickup truck and stole this pickup truck, and is now using this to evade the police, so far successfully, although you can argue that success just means he's not in custody yet, but he's certainly that's probably what awaits him, most likely, given the record of the police regarding pursuits. They don't usually lose people. They didn't lose him, whatever tactic he tried to employ to try to get this second vehicle. It didn't work, because there were police on the ground and in the air.
We also don't know if this suspect kept the victim with him, the carjacking victim. Some reports are saying that possibly he is holding the driver against their will. So hopefully that is not the case for this poor person's sake that was just happened to be under that underpass. And
and what this would mean then is, it would, if that's the case, it would certainly change or alter the way officers pursue this. They may not be nearly as aggressive as they might be. If he's in there alone, the opportunity to use a pit maneuver whenever they had the chance to do that, they would certainly do it. But if there's somebody else in the vehicle, if there's a person, a victim being held in the vehicle by the suspect, then that changes things dramatically. I doubt they would do a pit maneuver at that point, because they don't want to put that person in jeopardy in case this person has a weapon, in case the driver, the carjacker, has a weapon.
Still traveling southbound 170, so he'll hit the 101 shortly, in just a couple of minutes here.
He's at Magnolia. And now continuing southbound on the 170 freeway. He's going to hit the 101 here in a little bit, and we'll continue, we assume, I believe, can he hit the 405 from the 170 here? I'm trying to remember all of my geography. I don't think so.
No, I think he'll go right to the 101.
No, he's going to go straight to the 101.
Which we've been there before. He was passing right by our studios, a 134, 101 interchange, not that long ago.
Yeah, here he is now. He's in what would appear to be kind of the North Hollywood area now as we speak, and he's getting off.
Exiting Ventura.
Getting off at Ventura Boulevard, or the Riverside Drive. This is actually the Toluca Lake area. This is Riverside Drive.
Okay.
He's getting off the freeway. Now there's another on-ramp. He can get back on the freeway not far from here. If he's on Riverside, he can get back on the 134 once he gets past Vineland, or approaching Vineland.
You do have JT Alpaugh back in Air 7HD. That was a quick refueling, JT.
Boy, look at this.
Yeah, we were able, luckily the pursuit came, well not luckily, but the pursuit came northbound on that 405. We were able to get Air 7HD back into Van Nuys Airport, did a quick turn fuel and get right back on this again without really missing anything. So back on it. But look at these speeds on these side streets. Extremely fast, extremely dangerous. This suspect is trying to get away with everything he's got, even we talked about the carjacking earlier, or reported carjacking. We're still trying to get that verified. But you can see the speeds he's going on this highway. We saw him on the freeway actually stop when he was on that southbound 5 freeway. He exited at, I believe it was Lancashire, slammed on his brakes. We thought the pursuit might be over at that point. Well, he just jumped on the gas again, that got right back on that 5 freeway. So doing some extremely dangerous driving right now. Look at these side street speeds. Not a good situation here, and very desperate to get away. If you were in this area in North Hollywood and you were watching this on the net, we'd be watching us on ABC 7 at 11 o'clock. Stay inside. Don't come out and try to watch this. We don't know where this guy's going. We don't know what he's going to do, and he's driving extremely fast, extremely dangerous right now.
Yeah, he's approaching Ventura Boulevard here at Vineland, and he is now heading what would be west or north on Ventura Boulevard. And so now he's approaching the Studio City area. He's leaving North Hollywood. There are a lot of hotels here. There are businesses. There are apartments. There are restaurants. And this is also a pretty curvy section right here. Look
that
at
was
that.
Close call.
Yeah. So this is fairly tricky. And he's getting into an area where once you get off Ventura Boulevard, there's a lot of residential streets. Ventura Boulevard itself, as we all know, is kind of a main drag, mostly businesses and a few hotels and maybe an apartment building or two scattered here and there, a couple of senior centers as I recall. But after you take any one of these side streets and you're in a residential area very quickly, and look at the speeds here. We're talking 65, 67 miles an hour and climbing. Very, very dangerous. You will get a lot of cross traffic. You'll get people crossing the street at these restaurants. You got a lot of valet parking where the valet guys are running back and forth across the street as they go get cars. You got people restaurant hopping, bar hopping, that they're crossing the street in the middle of the street, which they shouldn't be doing, and especially not now. But so this is a dangerous sort of a situation here.
And we see him getting more desperate, going on the wrong side of the street, taking all kinds of strange turns.
This is Ventura Place. He's going to get, if he continues this way, he's going to hit Laurel Canyon. And there's a freeway on-ramp at Laurel Canyon, of course.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to go
what he's doing. He is heading now back toward the freeway. This is Studio City, Laurel Canyon Boulevard, approaching the 101 freeway.
And let's face it, that is the best place for this guy to be. We don't want him driving this speeds on the side streets, especially with that big, heavy Ford 150 truck. Very, very dangerous. It's better, if he's got to be in pursuit, it's better at least he's on the freeway, that he can't hit pedestrians or cross traffic. That's a better end of this deal right now.
Yeah, that was a pretty scary situation going through that Studio City area, because you're right, Mark, a lot of people just cross traffic.
That's Moore Park, and there's, thank goodness, there's a pedestrian. He stopped for the guy, but just barely. You saw him just kind of snake past him. So the next light will be, I believe, the 101 freeway. He's passing by that high school. He just passed Moore Park, and that's a school there on the top part of your screen. And yeah, then that light, and then the freeway on-ramp is right here. So if he turns left, he'll go northbound, and that looks like what he is doing, north or west on the 101 freeway from Laurel Canyon. Speeds going up again, getting back on the freeway, not endangering people on surface streets any longer. Now he's just endangering people on the freeway.
Yeah, and that's, again, it's still a very bad situation, but much less worse than what it would be on those side streets. And it's interesting, again, recapping what happened, as you guys well know, this was originally wanted. He was in that dark sedan, that four-door sedan, and he was wanted for, I believe it was a stolen vehicle. I don't know if we have more confirmed information on that. And then we saw this suspect. He basically pulled over on a side street. He blacked out, and then a female with dark hair got out and nonchalantly walked away from the vehicle. There is some speculation, again, if that female was a friend of his, not a friend of his. Was that a possible other kidnapping car? We don't know that. That's what we're trying to ascertain. But after that, he took off in the car, and then eventually, we're being told, carjacked this truck you see now in the area of North Hollywood.
Right, and as we watch him now heading northbound, the traffic is going to be even less than it was the last time he was in this area. And he is able to proceed at the speeds that we're seeing, 105 miles an hour as he heads into Sherman Oaks, passing Woodman. And after that, it'll be Van Nuys Boulevard. After that, it'll be Sepulveda, and then the 405. Well, I'm betting, Ellen, that he's going to get on that 405 northbound. It's kind of been this big loop that's involved the 405, the 134, the 5, the 118, at various points. Just kind of a big loop through the West Valley.
Yeah, for a few minutes decided to go south on the 405 and then apparently turned around and decided to go back the other way.
Now, we did see earlier LAPD what appeared to be a Metropolitan Division, a cruiser, a hybrid, a dual-purpose vehicle was in pursuit of him. I don't see any CHP directly behind him at this time, but they did have a dual-purpose. That's a vehicle that doesn't have a light bar on top, but does have red and blue lights out front, was in pursuit of the vehicle. I don't see him right now, but the pursuit is continuing, as you mentioned, on that northbound 101, making their way back to the 405. And you guys nailed it. He's just doing these big circles, and somehow, some way, think he's going to ditch the police officers or the helicopter. Well, we know that's not going to be the case.
Especially in a big old truck like that, it's hard to miss him, especially the speeds he's going, and they have the light on him, and who knows how much gas he has in that tank. Hopefully not a lot.
Well, yeah, and the gas mileage is not going to be tremendous, and what enabled officers to continue this pursuit when he carjacked was the fact that not only is he being pursued from the air, of course, he's being pursued on the ground. So he may have been able to get away from the helicopter at one point, but you had officers on the ground in vehicles behind him. They saw the carjacking, they saw him getting into this truck, and they continued the pursuit.
And we talk about, Mark, we've talked about it before, the balance test. So you've got these supervisors involved in these pursuits, and they make the decision whether to continue a pursuit or go into tracking mode. A lot of times they'll go into tracking mode to try to get a suspect to slow down. But, well, in this case, when you back off too far, when you don't have officers' eyes on that suspect, it opens up the possibility for them doing exactly what the suspect did. Luckily, they were able to get good witness information on the type of vehicle he was in and re-engage the pursuit with the suspect.
Now, are his windows blacked out just like the first vehicle he had?
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a black truck or a very dark-colored truck, and
black
it's
rims.
really, it's hard to tell whether it's blacked out at night from 800 feet up in the air. But that, if they are, and it's certainly it's pretty common here in Southern California that you have that. It's not legal to do it. You're not supposed to put tint on your windows, and the reason is that when an officer stops your vehicle, they need to be able to see inside. It may not be a problem. The person who owns this truck, I'm sure, is a law-abiding citizen, but now it's in the possession of someone who is anything but.
Right.
And if the windows are blacked out, this is a real hazard for the officers. This affects how they approach this thing when this pursuit comes to an end, and it will. The truck's going to run out of gas at some point, or he's going to give up. And if he stays in the vehicle and they can't see inside, it's going to affect how they approach it and whether they are going to be a little more inclined to use their weapons if they see a furtive movement inside, if they can't see everything that's happening in there. It increases the danger level for everyone involved.
Certainly does. And we're watching him go 85 miles an hour past these other cars. And with any luck, that the owner of the car is not in the vehicle with him. But we can see. Oh, there are two people in that car.
There are two people in that car.
So,
there are two people in the car.
So maybe that victim is being held.
Wow. We don't know
That's
which
scary.
person's driving. Is it the suspect or the victim who's driving? We don't know.
The way he's driving, I'm suspecting it is that because he's been having some pretty good maneuvers all through the night.
It is. This is a really scary situation. So what we have here is a carjacking and a kidnapping.
Oh, dear.
On top of the stolen vehicle.
Raises the stakes significantly.
Right,
and we have
Poor guy.
try to figure out if the suspect is armed or not. And if that's the only witness of this carjacking, well, we may not know if he's armed or not. So extremely dangerous. The stakes have been raised by that. The second person in that vehicle, whole different story now for law enforcement.
My goodness. Yeah, we do have confirmation now because we had heard reports perhaps he was being held, but now we know for sure that there are two men in that truck. Sherman Way now, he exited on Sherman Way, is that correct, JT?
Yeah, Sherman
yeah,
Way.
it looks like, well, I'm watching a little bit of a feed behind you, but we're trying to get that verified here, but you guys have that look better than I do at this point, but continuing now on that side street.
He's heading under Van Nuys Airport. Yeah, there he goes. He's under Sherman Way, approaching Havenhurst. And now, this is really scary because we've got we've got confirmation that there are two people in the vehicle, and one of them we presume is the victim of this carjacking.
Got a feel for that man.
He's got a victim along with him now, and so that really raises the stakes, as JT pointed out. If he crashes, if there is some sort of a gun battle or some sort of an effort by officers to take him into custody that involves the use of force, that puts that victim, that poor innocent carjacking victim, in danger, whoever that person is. And it just really does raise the stakes, and it makes it really affect their tactics now as they deal with this. They will probably, I'm guessing, are they going to, would they do a pit maneuver at this point? I would guess they wouldn't, right, JT? I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, well, it depends on the supervisor involved in the pursuit. My guess, with my experience, would be no, because we don't want to endanger any more than they're already endangered that victim in that car, or the victim of the kidnapping, carjacking in that car. So that is another consideration. That just gives you an idea of what these supervisors are dealing with everything going on in this situation. As it looks like he's turning back eastbound on that. Maybe that's Van Owen there.
Yeah, it's Van Owen. He's definitely eastbound on Van Owen. The speed's still very high. We've been kind of glossing over, not really keeping a track all the time of his speeds, but we're talking 80 miles an hour, between 70 and 80 miles an hour on surface streets, triple digits on the freeways. So this has just been really an accident waiting to happen here. He and the pursuing officers, and now whoever the victim who's in there with him, have all been extremely lucky that there have been no collisions, because the speeds have been high. And the idea of losing control of this thing, it's not, it's a truck. It's not meant for being driven at high speed. It's supposed to haul things. So the traction that it might be able to have wouldn't necessarily be what you would want for sort of high-speed maneuvers. So it's really fortunate that it has not so far been involved in an accident, as it heads again under that runway.
Now it's definitely a circle.
Van Nuys Airport.
Yeah, just made that circle just minutes ago.
I wonder if he's looking
And remember,
for
the
another place.
suspect has a propensity when he gets underneath tunnels or overpasses like this to do something, but it looks like officers are more closely behind him this time and won't give him the opportunity to do this. I also want to bring up that this is not the normal behavior of a stolen vehicle suspect. The suspect may be wanted for something that's more, again, we don't have that confirmed yet, but his actions are dictating that he may be wanted for something more serious, because a 211 robbery and kidnap, the original want for this vehicle may be something that he's running from other than being a stolen vehicle. We'll have to figure that out.
Right, yeah, this is exactly. If it was just a stolen car, wow.
Wow, that was a close call, going on the wrong side of the road.
He's on Haskell now, northbound. If this was just a stolen car, if that's all this guy had been involved with before, he certainly upped the ante by committing these other crimes that now, would send him to prison for a very, very long time. I mean, we're talking strikes here, with the kidnapping, with the carjacking, and felony evading. I don't know if that's a strike, but it's a felony, and along with the original car theft. So
the possibility that he already had 2 felony strikes against him when this whole thing started.
Which is why a lot of people run from police, right?
Run a little harder when they're facing a 3rd strike.
Right, because that's 25 to life automatically.
That is Saticoy, going back eastbound on Saticoy, back underneath the 405 freeway, reaching Sepulveda Boulevard.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what he's trying to find another underpass to switch cars again, or what his mind is, what he's going through. So it's hard to imagine what he's thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the poor victim with him.
Yeah, and I would think, just by the nature of the driving, unless the suspect does have a weapon, but the nature of the driving here, extremely erratic.
Are we back on or what? What happened?
Short or shaved head. He had a gray T-shirt on. He looked to be a little heavier set with dark pants on when he got out of that vehicle earlier. But my guess would be, again, only a guess based on my experience, that he is the one driving and one terrified victim or passenger in that right front seat.
Right.
Police in hot pursuit.
Just very scary. This is just a tricky situation, and really the level of danger here is just pretty high, and your thoughts really do go out to that innocent victim who got carjacked, who was just basically along for the ride here, or perhaps being told to drive. We're not sure. But just how fearful that individual must be right now, that he's in the car with a felon on the run from police. It's the stuff you see in movies, and it's the kind of thing that's just scares you to death, because this could end very badly. This is Valerio Street, approaching
southbound Van Nuys Boulevard.
Okay, yeah, we're on Valerio now, from Van Nuys, I believe, and this would put him in somewhere in Los Angeles. So you've got the LAPD pursuing here. It's a residential area, as you see now. There are speed bumps on the road. There are houses on both sides of the street. You see all those parked cars. This is an area that is heavily populated. We advise anybody who's in this area off of Sherman Way to keep their doors and windows closed and locked, and not allow anyone to come in your house right now, because a foot bail could happen at literally any moment. He could get out of that truck and take off running, and he's going to look for a place to try to hole up, to try to either hide from police. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break from this for a second. I think we'll leave the picture up. I'm not going to be able to talk for about 2 minutes. We have to get ready to do something here. But watch this, and we'll watch it together. Hollywood Way underpass of the 5 freeway near Burbank Airport. At that point, he got out, he got under the overpass, got out of the Mustang, carjacked the person in this black or dark blue pickup truck, and continued on. Officers for a time were a little confused. There were a lot of officers doing searches in that area thinking that he had foot bailed, but someone who was involved in that pursuit saw him carjack this truck, and they were able to pick up the pursuit and continue it. And he is now, whoa, he's losing control. Whoa. He's losing control, and he's crashing. He just crashed. All right, this is now Laurel Canyon Boulevard at Oxnard. Laurel Canyon at Oxnard. You've got you remember, you've got a hostage in there. You've got a kidnapped victim and a carjacked victim.
Did you see him? He got out
Someone
of the car.
just bailed. This guy just ran. He's running. He's running from police. He's now foot bailing across this parking lot. His hands are up. His hands are up. His hands are up.
But stop.
He's getting down on the ground, and police have him. They've got him. They've got him.
And you wonder if, you know, the victim, hopefully he's okay.
The victim was in what appeared to, it looked like the victim was in the passenger seat. And this guy got out of the driver's side, took off running with his hands up, as if to say, don't shoot. But he kept running.
Right, exactly.
Officers exercising remarkable restraint there, given that this is a person who has carjacked someone and kidnapped them, as well as led them on a pursuit that was extremely dangerous throughout.
And it was a miracle he didn't get in any other accidents.
He didn't get in any other accidents. He rounded a turn a little too fast. The rear wheel slipped out, and that was it. He ran into that building there at the corner. We're going to try to get the exact location here again, but his luck finally ran out. All that expert driving that he was doing ultimately didn't really help, because he ended up having an accident, bailed on foot. Police were right there, and they had that dog ready to get him as well. That canine unit, that Belgian Malinois that was right there in the hands of one of the officers, they were prepared to use that to deploy that dog to get him to stop. And he wisely got on the ground when they told him to, and didn't resist any further.
For a moment, I thought he was going to try to keep running, you know, because running with his hands up, thinking, well, maybe there's a chance still. This guy was a desperate mode to get away.
Yeah, well, he did not, as is fairly typical with these pursuits. He did not get away, and ultimately he is in custody.
Thank goodness. And we'll find out the exact location. Perhaps JT Alpa will give us the location.
Right, so we've got it now, and if we can activate SkyMap 7, we had it going earlier, so maybe we can get that going again and get a sense. All right, so this is Laurel Canyon.
Okay.
It's near 5941 Laurel Canyon Boulevard. It's
Mark,
405 Laurel Canyon and Tiara Street. Yes, JT, go ahead.
Well, what we did while you were looking at that, we were looking at the person that was in the passenger side of that truck. We were calling a victim. Well, LAPD took that male, looked to be a heavy-set male Hispanic with a white T-shirt, into custody. They handcuffed him. They are questioning him and searching him right now, handling him more like a suspect than they are a victim. So that is information that's interesting. So maybe this was a
there he is right there,
underneath that freeway. We're trying to confirm that, but that passenger is in custody right now.
Look at that.
And they are aggressively talking to him and searching him.
So could have been the guy who ran away, could have been the victim just trying to get away?
It didn't look like it, because the victim wouldn't run away and keep running from the police.
Let's see.
And on top of that, the driver that ran matched the description, the exact shirt he was wearing that we saw earlier. That
exactly.
T-shirt.
Exactly. Well, this just gets more and more tangled. Maybe there was a rendezvous and not a carjacking, that this guy may have been, in fact, a confederate of this suspect and who was helping him to try to get away. That may have happened. It's happened before in pursuits where they try to arrange a rendezvous, and then they in fact, that it was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, where this happened?
It was.
You know, maybe somebody thought it was a good idea, tried it again, worked for a time, for a few minutes, for a half an hour or so, but ultimately it ended badly, and what we see now is two people are under arrest. 2 people being questioned by the police. One definitely a suspect, the other possibly a suspect, possibly an accomplice. And then you also have the woman who was let out earlier.
Exactly.
In the North Hollywood area. So there are a lot of questions about...
A lot of moving parts.
Who was a victim, who's a suspect, and what was going on here? Was it just a stolen vehicle, or were there more things involved? There are a lot of questions here. We have reporters heading to the scene. We're going to try to get as much information about this as possible. But you can see here, this pursuit has just ended, and at the corner of Laurel Canyon and Tiara Street, and that is in the San Fernando Valley. There's your driver right there. The person who was in the car that we thought was a victim may not be a victim.
could have been wow, that's pretty incredible if that is the case. We're certainly going to find out all the details, especially about that woman earlier on and his expert driving. We noted that he didn't get any other accidents, didn't hit anybody, thankfully, but going speeds of 100 miles an hour plus for most of the pursuit, it was very fortunate he didn't hit anybody. And this is at, he tried to turn southbound on Laurel Canyon at Oxnard Street, and that's when he crashed into that pole in that parking lot of a gas station. That's when the suspects ran.
All right, we're going to take a couple of quick seconds. We're going to leave the picture up. Our producer, we've got some TV logistics if you want to really understand this. We're getting ready to go live on the air on ABC 7. So we're going to leave our picture up here on abc7.com. Got to talk to the producer for a quick second, and then we will be right back. So watch this picture, and we'll be back. Go ahead. We are on the air here online with another police pursuit. This is the second one this evening so far. This is a stolen vehicle being pursued by the CHP and the LAPD. It is now northbound on the 5 freeway. You can see here on our SkyMap 7 technology, you can see exactly how fast he's going. Right now, 80 miles an hour or so, but he's been as high as 120 or so miles an hour in the carpool lane now. It's a blacked out sedan. Can't tell exactly what kind of sedan it is, but it is moving rapidly through traffic. This is reported to be a stolen car, and it started in the North Hollywood area. And it eventually got on the 5 freeway, got on through Hollywood Way, and then is now on the 5 freeway, got on at Buena Vista, and has continued northbound on the 5 freeway now, heading northbound and at 110, 112 miles an hour. We don't know how many occupants there are in the vehicle. We do know it's blacked out, and so it's hard for officers to see inside, us included, even from the air. Look at the speeds here as he winds his way through traffic. But this is a stolen vehicle. An earlier pursuit involved a DUI suspect. That one was a little bit crazy. That one just ended, and then a few minutes after that one ended with a couple of arrests, you had this pursuit that started up involving the LAPD and the CHP. It's passing Van Nuys Boulevard. We're told that the LAPD is in communication with the CHP. They are coordinating their assets. They have, of course, a helicopter overhead. That's the source of that light that you see that is trained directly on this stolen vehicle. And you have CHP officers in pursuit on the freeways. Generally, what happens is if it goes back onto surface streets, they will hand it off to the local police agency that knows the streets well. And if it gets back on the freeway, then, of course, the CHP will resume. But that's what's happening right now. Northbound 5 freeway, still in L.A. County. Again, in the triple digits. He stayed above 100 miles an hour for most of the time that we have been over this pursuit. The latest information is, northbound 5, it's passing Van Nuys Boulevard and continuing there with no sign of stopping. And this is a stolen vehicle. Not sure if it's related to the other pursuit, but it does appear that this one is some very erratic driving as well. Continuing now on the North 5 freeway in the Sylmar area. Looks like he's on a side road here now, still going 110 miles an hour. I don't think he's on the freeway proper. I think this might be a collector road, perhaps. No, he is getting back on. Looks like it does end up back on the freeway. Continuing northbound, now approaching the 405 freeway. That could be the deal where he's going to try to get on the 405. We're not sure yet, and we'll have to just kind of watch this unfold. You're looking at this with the SkyMap 7 technology, as I am, and trying to navigate and see what's ahead. Looks like he's taking an off-ramp here. And this is Roxford Street off-ramp. That's Roxford, as you can tell, and he's turning left here. Slowing down there. You know the CHP and LAPD are in pursuit. This is the Sylmar area. Now it looks like he's going to try to get back on the 5 and head south now. Is that the on-ramp to the 5 freeway south? It looks like it is. He's gaining speed. You see, he's in the 40s and getting into the, and speeding up again. So this vehicle was stolen, we believe, in the North Hollywood area, or at least first reported in the North Hollywood area. It was on San Fernando Road. It was seen on surface streets there going about 80 miles an hour around on San Fernando. There was a passenger in the vehicle at one point. That passenger was let out. And now the vehicle is continuing. It was on the northbound. The video on the scene on your right here is, I believe, where that passenger was let out. That was on Wheatland Avenue. That was in the L.A. area. That was earlier where a passenger was let out of the vehicle. You see right there. Looks like a female, a woman, being let out. You can be sure that officers are or have been questioning her and finding out what this person's motives are, as he does a pretty expert two-point turn. This is the kind of turn that police officers are trained to do. That's the sort of driving that people who are really good at driving know how to do. That's not your typical three-point turn that he did to get out of there. So that, I'm not sure what that says about this individual, but he did make that turn and then sped away. That was in the North Hollywood area about 15, 20 minutes ago, and it's continuing now. The scene on your left, this now full screen, which is the live picture from Air 7 HD using our SkyMap 7 technology. He is now southbound on the 5 freeway, heading back to the area from whence he came. Heading again southbound on the 5 in the number 1, or actually in the carpool lane, it looks like. The speeds are pretty intense here, and he's a real danger to the people that are on the freeway with him. And what we're seeing here, where there have been no accidents yet, and we're hoping there won't be any, but man, there's certainly a great deal of danger associated with this when you look at the speeds here, the fact that he's weaving in and out of traffic, and that he is not obeying the orders of pursuing police officers to stop. If you happen to be on the freeway, of course, and you see something like this heading towards you, the best thing to do is to slow down, move to the side, and let it pass you. Don't try to interfere. Don't try to get in the way of it. Don't try to get a closer look, because you put yourself at risk, you put the pursuing officers at risk, and the suspect, and anybody who might be in the car with that suspect, if that is in fact the case. So what we have here is one individual. We got a pretty good look at him too. Kind of a heavy-set guy, wearing, I believe, a dark-colored shirt and an outer shirt, and then like a T-shirt or a tank top underneath. He ran around to let a woman out of the car and then got back in. Again, that's the video you see on your right there. That was from Clybourne to Wheatland Avenue in the I believe it was North Hollywood area. So he stopped there, and you saw him there. He got out, runs around to the side of the vehicle, helps the woman out of the vehicle, gets back in. She walks away, and you see him get back into the car from the passenger side, and then makes a pretty violent but rather expert two-point turn to reverse course and continue on. She's just kind of walking nonchalantly away. That's not going to fool the officers, of course. I'm sure they've got her, and they are talking to her and finding out what her connection is to this individual, whether she is part of this or whether she was perhaps a victim as well. It could be her car. We don't know if this was a carjacking or not. We do know this car is stolen. And as we look live now from Air 7 HD, it is continuing now southbound on the 5 freeway. And this is, again, he's now in the, he's been kind of staying in the number 1 lane for the most part until he prepares to get off, but we don't know whether that's going to happen again. He's kind of made this big loop. He's now heading into the North Hollywood area again. This is approaching Lancashire, and on the southbound I-5. He got on at, I believe it was Buena Vista a little while ago, and so that's what we're seeing now. Is he made a loop way up into on the 5 freeway, and then got off and turned back around, now heading south at a pretty high speed. You see 120 miles an hour. So this is a pretty dangerous situation here. Not sure what caused all of this other than the stolen car report, but it has definitely gone to what I would imagine would be a felony evading at this point, given the level of speed, plus, of course, the original charge of the auto theft. And you're talking a number of felonies involved here. Depending on whether or not that woman was a victim or an accomplice, there could be a kidnapping charge tacked onto this. So this would certainly add to the desperation of this individual, and he's exhibiting it here, going, again, 95 miles an hour southbound in the number 1 lane. Looks like, is that a Volkswagen? It's hard to tell. Trying to look at the emblem on the back of it. It's hard to tell from this angle at night in the dark, but it is capable of pretty significant triple-digit speed. It's a black. Okay, what we're seeing is it's a black Mustang, a Mustang. So I completely had that wrong. And Ellen Leyva joining me now as we watch this pursuit, a black Mustang, and we're seeing it now getting off at Hollywood Way, which is about where he got on the freeway, not far from where he got on the first time to head northbound.
And the SkyMap 7 technology is pretty incredible, because we can see in real time. Oh, my microphone.
Your mic's on.
Okay, the producer's telling me my microphone's on.
Okay, well, it's on, and hopefully you can hear us online. Maybe we can check. Are you?
I will be back. We're going to check and see why it's
you know what? I think I know why. All right, we've got to switch mics for you. But again, all right, so what do we have here? He's now, he's stopped. He's gotten out. He has stopped and gotten out. This is at the North Hollywood Way off-ramp. He has gotten out of the vehicle. He's now, it looks like he's taken off on foot, and so the police have stopped in that area. Is he out, or has he just stopped or run onto there? Yeah, they are still looking at the vehicle. They think he's still in there. They are surrounding it with guns drawn. They have cleared the vehicle. Now they're looking for him. They are, at this point, trying to determine where this individual might be. JT Alpa, are you with us?
I am with you, Mark, and this is right at Hollywood Way and the 5 freeway, we believe. And we saw this before. The suspect went underneath the freeway, drove, and then turned around. This time, it looks like he got out, and officers are now looking for him. From what we saw from that earlier tape, I don't know if we've got that or not, the male looked to be an older, heavier-set male with bald head that was wearing a dark-colored sweatshirt. So they have that description. They're looking through the area, trying to contain that area, trying to lock him down in that